وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. All praise belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has repeatedly given us the opportunity to remind ourselves of the essence of the deen. Today is the fourth day in the month of Rabi'un al-Awwal, 1441, after the historic hijrah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, which is equivalent to the second day in the month of November 2019, the Christian era. We're seated this afternoon in this conference hall at Nile University Abuja under the auspices of Muslim Students Society of Nigeria, Nile University Chapter. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless this honorable gathering. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the necessary ikhlas that is needed for our deeds to be accepted by Him. As you've heard, the topic we're discussing this afternoon, it's an important topic. It defines everything that a believer stands for. And that is al-mu'min bayn al-ikhlas wa riyaa. A believer between sincerity and show-off. The basic principle is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is unique in His essence. He has neither partner nor is He in need of any partner. Just as He is unique and alone in His lordship, so also is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unique in His divinity, which means just as there is no one sharing anything of rububiyyah, lordship, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is al-khaliq, He is the creator, al-mudabbir, He is the disposer of the affairs of the entire universe, ar-raziq is the one that sustains and enriches. Him alone does all this. There is no any single partnership as with regards to the issue of lordship. So also is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unique in His divinity, which means ibadah is exclusively to be given to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَسْتَكْبِرُونَ عَنْ عِبَادَتِي يَوْمُ الْمُلْكِيَّةِ. And ibadati, those that are arrogant from my obedience, my ibadah, my worship, which means ibadah is exclusive for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. Hence, we start with the ABCD of Tawheed, which is Quran chapter 51, verse 56. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have not created jinn and mankind except that they should worship me. أي إِلَّا لِيُوَحِدُونِي بِالْعِبَادَةِ, that they should single me out in worship. Similarly, in Quran 98 verse 5, Surah Al-Bayyinah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. Ikhlas. And they have not been commanded except that they should worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while making religion pure for Him alone, without seeking for anything from other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If the purpose of our creation, the maqsood, the intention behind bringing us to existence While we were non-existent, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought us into existence. The hikmah, the wisdom behind it is for us to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. Which means worshiping Allah dictates that ibadah be made exclusive for Him. And the life of a believer revolves around what? Worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The entirety of a Muslim's life is all about worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Quran chapter 6, verse 162, Surah Al-An'am, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, قُلْ خِطَابُ لِنَبِيهِ مُحَمَّدٍ صلى الله عليه وسلم كما قال مفسرون. Allah is saying to His Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, قُلْ, say, إِنَّ صَلَاتِي, verily, my prayers, وَنُسُكِي, my sacrifice, whatever I sacrifice, and nusuk, وَمَحْيَايَ, my living, my life, the essence of me living, وَمَمَاتِي, and me dying, لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ, is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord of all that exists. La sharika la, do not associate partners with Him. And I'm one, the first of those to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Which means your life, everything that you do in your life, in my life, must, in capital letter, must be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Lillahi Rabbil Alameen. This is the essence of creation, and this is what Ikhlas is all about. Now, Ma huwa al-ikhlas? If someone was to ask, Ma huwa al-ikhlas? What is sincerity? What is ikhlas? And we're going to talk about ikhlas, the benefits of ikhlas, the statements of the Salaf regarding ikhlas, and how they trained themselves to be from amongst the mukhlisin, from amongst those that have sincerity of intention and purpose towards their Lord. Then we're going to talk about Riyaa, which is the antithesis, the opposite of al-ikhlas. Ma huwa al-ikhlas? What is ikhlas? What is ikhlas? What is ikhlas that has appeared in Quran and Sunnah and in the actions of the Salaf, rahimahumullah? When we look at it, different definitions, but everything is pointing towards one meaning. What is it? وَهُوَ أَن يَكُونَ قَصْدُ الْإِنسَانِ فِي سَكَنَاتِهِ وَحَرَكَاتِهِ وَعِبَادَاتِهِ الظَّاهِرَةِ وَالْبَاطِنَةِ خَالِصًا لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى لَا يُرِيدُ بِهَا شَيْئًا مِنْ خُتَامِ الدُّنْيَا أَوْ ثَنَاءِ النَّاسِ. This is ikhlas. That's the intention of any one of us, qasd al-insan, our intention, our purpose, and our silence, inaction, and our actions, and our ibadah, al-dhahira, the apparent things that we do, like standing up to pray, like giving out charity, like reciting the glorious Quran, like appearing as a pious individual. While you're seated, you're not talking. Yeah. Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir falyaqul khayran aw liyasmut. So you're doing it because of this hadith. So your silence, your actions, your worshipping of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your everything apparent of it that we can see, wal batina, and that which is hidden, of your niyyah, of your intention, what is in your heart, that which people do not see. Al-khawf, al-raja, al-rahbatu, al-raghbatu, all of these things. Fear, hoping in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You humbling yourself before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of these acts of ibadah that are not visible to the naked eye, all of these things, that they should be khalisa liwaji Allah. They should be exclusive for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the face of Allah. You seeking for the countenance of Allah, you're doing it for the sake of Allah. If you give out charity, the motivation should be seeking for the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you're reciting the Quran, it should be for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you're attending a lecture, it should be for the sake of Allah. If I'm delivering a talk, it should be for the sake of Allah. Everything of our lives must be for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. خالصة لوجه الله. لا يريد بها شيئا. You do not seek anything from that act. Exclusively for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You do not seek thereby anything of the things of this dunya. You're not seeking for anything like praise, like fortune, someone giving you money. You're not doing it for people to see you as a learned person. You're not doing it for people to give you something of this dunya. You're not doing it to attain status in the eye of people. You're not doing it for anything of this dunya. أو ثناء الناس. Neither are you doing it for people to praise you. You're not doing it for people to praise you. You're doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Exclusively for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a daunting task, isn't it? It's a daunting task, as we're going to understand this from the statements of the Salaf. It's a very daunting task. Someone says it took him 40 years training himself to do deeds for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from amongst the pious predecessors. 40 good years. Someone fasted for more than 20 years without even his wife knowing. He will go out in the morning, Dawood bin Abi Hind, if I'm not mistaken. He goes out in the morning with what? With the food given to him by his wife. Once he steps out, he gives it out as charity. He comes back in the evening when there is another meal for him. Neither did his wife knew of him fasting. But the question is, how come we're talking about him fasting for that long? That is the power of sincerity. Whatever you do for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it known if there is benefit for people from it. Even if you hide yourself to do a righteous deed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it manifest. If there is benefit for people, if there is lesson for people to learn from. That's how Allah works. وَلَن تَجِدَ لِسُنَّةِ اللَّهِ تَبْدِيلًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a sunnah. You're not going to find any crookedness in the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you do it for the sake of Allah, look at the scholars, the shuyukh, that have written extensively about the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hundreds of years ago, 1,000 years ago. They didn't write it bearing in mind that there was going to be a country called Nigeria where some Muslims in this country will read what they have written. No, they didn't have you in mind while they were writing it. They were writing it for the benefit of the people around them, isn't it? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed it. Today you're reading their books because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna Allah la yudi'u ajra al-muhsinin. Allah does not allow the good deeds of the good doers to be flushed down the drain. So this is what is required of us to do deeds for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna al-ikhlasa huwa hakikatud din. Sincerity, ikhlas, verily, ikhlas, sincerity is the reality of this religion. Without sincerity, all our deeds will not be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no single righteous deed that we will do that is devoid of sincerity that Allah will reward us for. We must have wasted our time. And how many of us doing good deeds every now and then? But the million-dollar question is, how many of those deeds were done for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It is easy for us to remember that we've recited Quran in the morning. It is very easy for us to remember that we've given charity. It is very easy for us to remember that we stood up to perform tahajjud. It is very easy for us to remember all the apparent good deeds. But the million-dollar question is, can we for sure affirm that all those things were done exclusively for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sincerely for the sake of Allah, without us wanting people to look at us as a God-fearing individual, without us wanting someone to look at us and say, wow, this person is mindful of his duties to Allah, without us waiting for someone to look at us and see us as someone that is devoted to the servitude of Islam. Why? Because it has to be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, without seeking for anything out of it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sincerity is to be upright, isn't it? It's to be upright in whatever you do. It's to be truthful in whatever you do. It's to be pure, purity of intention, distant from show off and ostentation. You're doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your intention should be for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That shouldn't be any seeking for fame or fortune, isn't it? For the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Quran chapter 39, Surah Al-Zumar, Quran 39:29, verse 29, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, ضرب الله مثلا رجلا فيه شركاء متشاكسون ورجلا سلما لرجل هل يستويان مثلا الحمد لله بل أكثرهم لا يعلمون. Listen to this example. The best way to drive home important message is to give an example so that you can relate. The issue of someone doing something for the sake of people. The one that is exclusively doing his deeds for the sake of Allah, and the one that is doing it for Allah and for other people. Or he's not doing it even for Allah, he's just doing it for the purpose of this dunya. Look at the example Allah said, Allah puts forth mathalan, a parable, a similitude, an example, rajulan, of a man. Fihi shuraka'u mutashakisun, a man belonging to many partners, disputing with one another. Mutashakisuna ay mutanazi'una. غير متفقين. People that are at loggerheads with one another. I want you to go to Metama, and the other one say, no, I want you to go to Lubi. At the same time, because the two of them are claiming your ownership. And you're claiming to be for two of them. How is that possible? What confusion are you going to lead yourself into? You belong to two masters. Each one of them are not agreeing with each other. Mutashakisuna ay mutanazi'un. At loggerheads, this one is sending you to Metama, the other one to Lube. At the same time, 2 o'clock, I want you to go. But how can you divide yourself into two? Mustahil, impossible. Then at the end of the day, what happens to you? You neither please this one, nor that one. If you please this one, you displease the other one. So how about warajulan salaman lirajulin, and a man belonging entirely, salaman, entirely to one master? Your deed is exactly, entirely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're neither seeking for fame nor fortune. You don't even want people to praise you. If they praise you, that's it. But you are not hankering for it. Am I communicating? It's natural for people to praise you if you do righteous deeds. But the big question is, are you seeking for that praise from them? Or does that praise actually affect your attitude towards the deed? When people praise you, you exert more effort. When people criticize you, you feel sad. Does the praise and criticism of people affect the state of your mind with regards to your acts of ibadah? Because for a believer, neither does praise nor criticism affects his stability. It's always for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your condemnation, because he knows only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what pleased Allah when Quran was being revealed 1,400 years ago, still pleases Allah today in the 21st century. Isn't it? When Allah said, Radiyallahu anhum wa radu an. Allah was pleased with them. Still, Allah is still pleased with the companions. When Allah says He loves the muhsinin, the good doers, when Quran was being revealed, Allah still loves the good doers today. It does not fluctuate. But for people that praise you, the same individual that praised you yesterday, today he finds you faulty. He no longer praises you. Because our emotions and criterion to judge keeps fluctuating. Because we're human. Am I communicating? So when you do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're sure to be rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're sure to be rewarded. But if you do anything seeking for the pleasure of people, you are in for it. Because the same people that praise you today will have every reason to criticize you tomorrow. That is human nature. That is just human nature. Even the people you love dearly, today you praise them, tomorrow you find yourself criticizing them. It keeps fluctuating, isn't it? So, but when you seek for the pleasure of Allah in your actions, and as you're praying, if you recite Quran with melodious voice, beautifully so, someone will be there praising you. Wow, I love his recitation. And you find another person saying, Kai, I don't want to listen to this guy. When you preach to please people, on one side, some people are saying, I love the way he preaches. On the other side, I don't like the way he preached. That's human. People have never come together to like one thing in its entirety. Even the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you have those that like him and those that don't like him. Am I communicating? So you can never please people, but you can always please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you fulfill the conditions of pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is ikhlas, doing things for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Today, in the era of social media, it's even more daunting for people to do things for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because everyone wants to portray himself. وَيُحِبُّونَ أَن يَحْمَدُوا بِمَا لَمْ يَفْعَلُوا. They love to be praised for things that they have not done. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said this in Surah Al-Ma'idah, Quran chapter 5. And that's what we've become today. It's a competition. And it has not left anyone. It has actually engulfed people. And that brings to mind how sincere are the Muslims of today. How sincere are we? When the Salaf, the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, were worried about the state of their niyyah, their ikhlas, when the environment was pure, when there was no pollution, when there was no spiritual contamination, they were worried about the state of their ikhlas. What more of us that have a lot of spiritual viruses all around us, yet we're the ones that are foremost in advertising our good deeds. We want people to know that we pray. We want people to know that we serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We want people to know that we give out in charity. We want people to know that we actually love the poor. We want people to know that we actually take care of the widows and the orphans. That is all about it, to be on the news. When we preach, we want people to see us as, this is a moderate scholar. So because of all these things, Adam al-Ikhlas, you see people, mixing the truth. Mixing, M-I-N-C-I-N-G. They're mixing their words. They're not straightforward when it comes to the truth. When someone asks them, what is the ruling of this? He looks at the gathering. Wow, if I say this is the actual ruling, a lot of people are going to leave this gathering disappointed in me. So what can I say that will please everyone? Then it makes a statement that is in accordance with the desires of people. So Sheikh Uthaymin, rahmatullah alayhi, he termed such a person as the scholar of the masses, of the people. He looks into the minds of the people. He looks into the activities of the people. That which is going to please them is what he tells them. Today for retweets, isn't it? That puts the question on our issue of ikhlas. For retweets, people actually just write things so that they can get retweets. Oh, I love the Prophet. He's not actually. He knows if he says he loved the Prophet, a lot of people are going to, because we are sentimental people, isn't it? So we play with people's emotion. We know what to say. You know, oh, look at this poor orphan. Oh, look at this poor orphan, poor thing. But you know, if you put it up, a lot of retweets, isn't it? And today, that's the question. Acts of ibadah. Acts of ibadah. Things that naturally, an-niyya. When you make your intention sincerely for the sake of Allah, you will be rewarded for the same action that someone does, but he has not made his intention sincerely for the sake of Allah. Am I communicating? Now, you have to always examine your mind before coming to this gathering. Why am I coming? Is it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Good. Then, what next? You have to always take care of your heart. Even as you are seated now, even as I'm speaking now, am I speaking for the sake of Allah? And that is why scholars, even for the one that speaks, they say, when you speak and you are impressed by your presentation, pause for a moment and remind yourself of how poor and feeble you are before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then until you have reminded yourself of that, then continue. They said if you are silent and you are impressed by your own silence, then even at that stage, start talking. Look at how they were very particular with regards to the issue of monitoring the heart. Because they know at the end of the day, if our intention is not solely for the sake of Allah, wallahi, we will lose out. We can stand up from morning till evening and be walking on the path of Allah. We can stand up at night and be performing tahajjud. We can be reciting Quran throughout the day. If we are not doing it for the sake of Allah, we've wasted our time and we are guilty of a minor shirk. Look at you wasting your time. At the end of the day, you get nothing out of it. And the only thing that is an obstacle there is the intention. So intention is the forgotten emergency, isn't it? Is an emergency, is the SOS. It's the forgotten emergency because it is what differentiates the acts of two people. This guy is not eating from Fajr time. Now it's sunset. The other guy too hasn't eaten from Fajr time till sunset. But this guy went out early in the morning looking for money. He has a lot of businesses. He has a lot of meetings to attend. He was so busy that he couldn't even have a sip of water until the time of Maghrib. And the other guy made the intention to fast for the sake of Allah. The two of them have not eaten since morning. The other person gets rewarded for fasting. The other person is not rewarded. Neither is he punished. Why? Because he didn't make his intention to fast. But the two of them have not eaten. Am I communicating? That's how important intention is. It differentiates between acts that are the same, just like the difference between heaven and the earth. That's the difference that it creates. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ دِينًا مِمَّنْ أَسْلَمَ وَجْهَهُ لِلَّهِ وَهُوَ مُحْسِنٌ. This is Quran chapter 4 verse 125. And who can be better in religion than one who submits his face, yani himself. Islamul wajh. What is Islamul wajh? What is submitting your face? The Arabs understand this. Ibn Taymiyyah, he explains this in Majmul Fatawa. It means what? It means you perform the good actions sincerely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he does his actions for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, seeking for the reward along from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَهُوَ and he's a good doer. What does it mean? It means that he follows the correct guidance that Allah legislated in the religion of truth. Am I complicated? So two conditions. You must have sincerity of purpose whenever you're doing anything, and you must do it in accordance with the dictates of what the Prophet ﷺ has taught us. Am I communicating? وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه. In Sahih Muslim, Abu Hurairah رضي الله عنه, he said, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, قال تعالى. What does this signify? قال تعالى. Who can give it a try? I give reward 500 naira. قال تعالى. Yes. And if I say 500 naira and I don't move with money, maybe it's somewhere, but remind me when I'm going out, we will give it to you. Isn't it? Because I normally forget and they don't remind me. قال تعالى.
Since he quoted the hadith without saying of the Prophet, then it means hadith will receive.
Now, please can you, Umar, can you take note? We're giving him 500 naira, you're my accountant. قال تعالى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, which means it is what? Hadith al-Qudsi. It is Hadith Qudsi. What did Allah say? Ana abd al-shurakai and al-shirk. Allah said, I'm independent to be associated partners with. He's not in need of any partner. Allah is so independent. Allah is so rich that he does not. Allah is beyond being associated with, as in associated partners with. Allah is beyond that. Allah is self-sufficient. So why should you take the deeds that are meant for Allah to another person? Why? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, man, whoever does an act and he associated partners with me in that action of his, he, like us preaching now, like you listening, like someone giving sadaqah, fit the needy, isn't it? You see, that is why Allah wants us to have good. So it is not bad if you make known your sadaqah. But what did Allah say? What did Allah say? Another 500 naira. And the surah, I'm not asking the verse number. The surah, what did Allah say regarding giving sadaqah? Concealing or making it known? Sisters? Brothers? What? Now, that's another 500 naira for you. Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, if you conceal or make known your charity, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. Because Allah knows who does for his sake. But Allah said, if you hide it, if you conceal it, it's better for you. It is not bad, fit the needy, you snap the pictures. Isn't it? But it is better if you do it quietly without anyone knowing about it. It will do what you know. But Shaitan makes us believe that if people don't know we're doing it, we don't get the satisfaction, isn't it? People will not know you're doing it. Why? If they know, do they have Jannah to put you in? If they don't know, will they punish you with their hellfire? So why the need? Why the need? Like for them, or one of the son. He said, if you are able to be unknown, Allah tu'raf, if you can act in such a way that you will not be famous, then do it. وَمَا عَلَيْكَ وَمَا عَلَيْكَ. What does it harm you if people don't know you? What benefit will it bring to you if people know you? Do you understand? Sheikh Uthaymeen, he said, well, it's difficult for some people that preach because you have to go out and preach the words of Allah, isn't it? Today, you have to use social media as a medium of communication, isn't it? So whether you like it or not, as long as you are preaching the words of Allah, people will know you. Well, are you seeking for that fame? Whoever seeks for fame has not been sincere to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whoever seeks for fame has not been sincere to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If it comes your way, that is not your problem. The problem is you seeking for fame. Am I communicating? Because of how it affects your ikhlas. So Allah said, if you hide it, it's better for you. So if your deeds are concealed between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is marvelous. Don't you know of the hadith in Sahih Bukhari of 3 people? Is it in Bukhari? I'm not sure of the reference. Excellent. Yeah, it has to be my architect that reminded me. The fraternity, isn't it? They were trapped in what? In a cave. But what did they use to rescue themselves? Through what agency did they seek for Allah's assistance? When they were doing istighatha, seeking SOS, that was the actual case of save our souls, isn't it? But they had no any emergency line except the emergency line of Ikhlas. The only line that is always available to save you is the emergency line of Ikhlas. You know what it means? When you have that deed between you and Allah, nobody knows of, and you did it for the sake of Allah, you've forgotten long. Now you're trapped. Then you invoke it, isn't it? You invoke it. Say, Ya Allah, I gave charity. Nobody knew except you and the person that I gave that money to. Nobody knew. I've never discussed it with anyone. That person was in need. I gave it to him because of you, Ya Allah. إِلَّا ابْتِغَاءَ وَجْهِ رَبِّي الْأَعْلَى وَلَسَوْفَ يَرْضَى. Ya Allah, I did it for your sake. Rescue me from this situation that I find myself in. Ikhlas will rescue you. Don't you see what Allah said regarding the people that feed for the sake of Allah with Ikhlas and Riyaa in Surah Ad-Dar, Quran chapter 76 or 75, 76. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ لَا نُرِيدُ مِنكُمْ جَزَاءً وَلَا شُكُورًا إِنَّا نَخَافُ مِنْ رَبِّنَا يَوْمًا عَبُوثًا قَمْطَرِيرًا فَوَقَاهُمُ اللَّهُ شَرَّ ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمِ. Allah said, إِنَّمَا يُفِيدُ الْحَصْرِ أَلَيْسَ كَذَلِكَ. Only, nothing except for what is going to be mentioned now. إِنَّمَا. There is nothing that was a motivating factor behind what is going to be mentioned now, except that which has been mentioned to be the motivating factor. I don't know if I'm communicating. So when Allah says, إِنَّمَا, they said, إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ. What was the beginning? وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّي. We're talking about ikhlas. They feed the poor. The who? Who is yatim? Then asir. What? No. ويطعمون الطعام على حبه مسكينا ويتيما وأسيرا. Who's going to help us? Someone is waiting for 500 naira price tag. Yes, another 500 naira price tag. Ikhlas, if you Google, it affects it. وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. Is it the captive of the wayfarer? إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ. They said, we only feed you Innama nut'imukum. The only reason why we're feeding you, the only reason you are giving out your charity, the only reason you are giving out your cloth, the only reason you are helping the widow, the only reason you are building the masjid, the only reason you are doing all the things you're doing, sponsoring the orphan, the Al-Majiri youth that you're taking off the street, the only reason, liwaji illah. Liwaji illah. It's only for the face of Allah, for Allah's countenance, for the sake of Allah, not for anything. So I've been shouting on top of my voice all this while. And they said, "La nuridu minkum jazaa'a wala shukura." We do not seek for any reciprocal gesture, isn't it? So we're not feeding you so that you will feed us tomorrow. So I'm not attending your wedding so that you will attend my wedding. I'm not giving you these gifts during your wedding. I'm giving it because gift is part of what is encouraged in Islam, isn't it? So I'm doing it. You can see how Ikhlas makes our dates to differ. So the only reason you're attending that wedding is not because kar a ce ban zo ba. Wallahi ka bata kuɗin mai babu lada. Saboda kar a ce baka zo ba shi yasa ka je. You went because you are afraid of the backlash of the comments are going to follow. So let me just go. The same thing that you do an angry word. The same thing when you do it for the sake of Allah. Am I communicating? So they said, "La nuridu minkum jaza'an wala shukura." We do not seek for any reciprocal gesture. Nor are we even expecting you to say thank you. Wala shukura. Thank you. You know, some people, imagine, I gave him money. He didn't even send text to say thank you. Well, why did you give him? Is it for the sake of Allah, for thank you? Am I communicating? Now, the beauty of Islam is that Islam is what? وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. Quran chapter 2 verse 143. We're a balanced nation. So the beauty of Islam dictates that there should be balance in this discussion. This particular point that I just made. What is the balance approach? If someone does good to you, you should reciprocate. But the one that is doing good should not expect any reciprocal gesture. If someone does good to you, say thank you. Because the one that is not grateful to people will not be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So say thank you if someone does good. Reciprocate if someone does good. But again, the one that is doing the good should not do it for the sake of being thanked, seeking for the pleasure of all the people. Am I communicating? Okay. Am I now? Okay. Let's gauge our. Who thinks we are discussing Ikhlas the way it's supposed to be discussed? Is there anyone here that think that what we've been saying so far is making sense, and you're understanding the concept of Ikhlas? It means a lot of people. If you have anything that is not clear, can we hear from you now? Is there anyone that, oh my God, why am I here? I thought we were going to talk about sincerity. You know, in architecture, they say, if you design a hospital and a passerby passes by, and you know, when we do presentation, we do something like this, isn't it? We put up our designs and we present before the client. So when someone passes by and just see your beautiful hospital and say, wow, this airport is beautiful, that's a bad design. That's already a bad design. Because the design is supposed to speak for itself, isn't it? So if you're here and you are hearing something else, not sincerity, this ikhlas been affected. So the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man ta'allama ilman," whoever seeks for a knowledge, mimma, in that which you're supposed to seek for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it seeks for that knowledge because of something, aradan min ad-dunya, is seeking for something of this dunya. He wants the gathering to go and be wowed, isn't he? He wants the gathering to be wowed by his presentation. That's all about it, so that they can talk about him. Or he seeks for something of this dunya. Wow, in that gathering, the governor is going to come. Oh, the minister is going to be in attendance. Oh, the president is going to be in attendance. Then he goes overboard in his presentation. Isn't it? To appear sophisticated. So that at the end of the day, he will be called. Said, wow, so there are knowledgeable people like this? Bring your passport. Umrah and Hajj. You do it for that? I know of, a masjid that the two imam that fought because of Umrah seats. Do you understand? Competing on who to lead Taraweeh, because the owner of the masjid always gives Umrah seat for the one that leads Taraweeh. Am I communicating? So you can see how all these things affect us. Quickly, before we talk about Riyaa. Now, the Prophet ﷺ said, Lam yajid, that person will not even smell the fragrance of Jannah on Yawm al-Qiyamah. The hadith is in Abu Dawud. You will not smell the fragrance of Jannah. If you're not smelling it, will you go close to it? Why? Because of the lack of sincerity indeed. Seeking for knowledge. So people seek for knowledge today. The Prophet has told us, fi ma'na al-kalam, some people seek for knowledge to argue. You see them on social media, on Twitter, isn't it? Even this morning, even since yesterday, they've been arguing with me regarding Maulud. And someone even said, Ko ubanka, ya ce wa za a yi ba sai mun yi. So I wish they see me smiling so that they will know that it doesn't affect us in any way. We'll still say the words of Allah, isn't it? The only reason the person is insulting you is because he doesn't know. Am I communicating? The only reason he's insulting you is because he doesn't know. Why won't you insult me? Because you know. So are you going to retaliate, or are you going to pity him, to keep teaching him until he understands? Which one? Which is the methodology of the Prophet ﷺ? You keep teaching. If he insults you, teach him more. Teach him more. Isn't it? So take your time to explain in details. Don't insult anyone. They don't agree with Quran and Sunnah of what you have said, and they are insulting you. Don't take offense. Don't insult them back. What is left for you? Give them more evidence. Maybe explain more. Maybe your first explanation was not clear enough. Take time to break down. Isn't it? So they tend to know. But you see people seeking for knowledge just for argument. Isn't it? He has never heard of that concept before, until when you wrote about it. Then you go to Google. Then he becomes a scholar there and then and start arguing with you. I wonder this in Nakamabe in Gantaba. He has never heard of the hadith before, thanks to Sheikh Google. But that's the reality we're living in today, because everyone wants to be seen as a scholar, as a learned individual. May Allah safeguard us. Now, what again? Benefits of Ikhlas, quickly. Benefits of Ikhlas. Why do we have to do things for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We're going to discuss the benefits, how to attain Ikhlas, then we round up with Riyaa. فَبِالْإِخْلَاصِ يُعْتِ اللَّهُ عَلَى الْقَلِيلِ الْكَثِيرِ. With Ikhlas, Allah gives many rewards for a small deed. If there is Ikhlas. فَبِالْإِخْلَاصِ يُعْتِ اللَّهُ عَلَى الْقَلِيلِ الْكَثِيرِ. With your sincerity of purpose, Allah will give you multiple rewards. وَبِالرِّيَاءِ, but with Riyaa, with show off, وَتَرْكِ الْإِخْلَاصِ, and you live in sincerity, you are not doing things for the sake of Allah. لَا يُؤْتِ اللَّهُ عَلَى الْكَثِيرِ شَيْئًا. Even if you do it multiple times, even if you give 100 billion naira, if there is Riyaa, show off, and you're not doing it for the sake of Allah, Allah will not give you anything. شَيْئًا أَصْغَرُ النَّكِرَةِ. Nothing. But with Ikhlas, 50 kobo will earn you Jannah. With Riyaa, 100 billion naira will not take you close to smelling the fragrance of Jannah. Can you see the difference? Can you see the benefit of Ikhlas? وَرُبَّ دِرْهَمٍ سَبَقَ مِئَةَ أَلْفَ dirham. One dirham. One dirham will outrace 100 dirham. Because of what? Because of the intention behind that one dirham. He gives 15 naira for the sake of Allah, sincerely for the sake of Allah. He gives 1 billion naira to be praised, to be on the front page of the newspaper. No, I'm going to help you. But where are the pressmen that are going to record it? Oh, you think I'm going to give you 100 million naira? Nobody's going to say anything about it on television or on newspaper? Just between me and you, that's all. Go and come back with pressmen. Then we will celebrate giving you the check of 100 million naira to build a masjid or to sponsor the orphan or to do this and that. Now, you don't fault some people, they feed the needy, NGOs, and what have you. Sometimes people donate, isn't it? You don't want to be at the risk of being seen as someone that has carted away with the wealth of people. So you have to show this thing that you have donated, this is how we have spent it, isn't it? But even when you do that, please always endeavor to cover the faces of the people you are helping. You should respect humans, most especially the one that is at the receiving end. Is poor, that's enough. Don't advertise him to the whole world that you are actually giving him a bag of rice. That's degrading. وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. That's why the Prophet ﷺ, again, revolving around ikhlas, when you give in such a way that your left hand is not aware of what your right hand has given. If what is within you, yani, that is for us to understand metaphorically, isn't it? If what is within you, your left hand, is meant not to be aware of what your right hand is given of charity, what more of someone outside? That's how the religion trains us to make our deeds exclusively for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Am I communicating? يقول شيخ الإسلام ابن تيمية رحمه الله. شيخ الإسلام ابن تيمية he said, والنوع الواحد من العمل قد يفعل الإنسان على وجهه يكمن فيه إخلاصه وعبوديته لله فيغفر الله به كبائر الذنوب. He said, someone will do a righteous deed that a man does seeking for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with ikhlas, sincerely for the sake of Allah, then Allah will forgive all his kaba'ir, his major sins. Allah will forgive his major sins, not minor, major sins. Kama fil hadith bitaqa, the hadith of a piece of paper. Who has heard of the hadith before? How much are we giving out? How many people you know yourself? Those people that have 500 naira prize, isn't it? Don't forget. Who has heard of the hadith al-bitaqa? The hadith, it's called the hadith al-bitaqa, the hadith of the piece of paper. You know, today the Arabs will call complimentary card bitaqa, isn't it? Or this small invitation card. So who has heard of hadith al-bitaqa? Nobody? No one has heard of it before. Okay. This hadith demonstrates how one good deed for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can rescue you on Yawm al-Qiyamah and take you to Jannah. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the hadith of Abdullah ibn Amr, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يصاح برجل من أمتي على رؤوس الخلائق يوم القيامة. Allah will, in the gathering of all creations, Allah will bring forth an individual. He will be singled out on Yawm al-Qiyamah. That individual will be singled out. فَيُنْشِرُ لَهُ, and it will be made apparent to him. He will see 99 scrolls. You know what a scroll is? Scroll, you know when you write on a scroll, isn't it? 99 scrolls will be brought forth to him. 99 scrolls. How big are these scrolls? كل سجل منها مد البصر. As long as your eyes can see, you will never see the end of it. But on each of these scrolls, 99, one, you cannot see the end of it. But you have 99 of them. Do you know what has been written in these scrolls? You know, all our deeds are written on a scroll, isn't it? So these are the deeds of this individual written on this scroll. We're talking about Ikhlas and the power of Ikhlas. ثم يقال أتنكر من هذا شيئا. Is there anything that has been written of all your evil deeds? There is no single righteous deed on these 99 scrolls. And each of the scrolls, Madd al-Basar, he doesn't know where it ends. And the only thing he sees on the 99 scrolls is, you drank alcohol, you commit zina, you did this. There is no single righteous deed on it. 99 scrolls, no single righteous deed. Then he will be asked, will you deny any of these things? أَظَلَمَكَ كَتَبَتِي. Are my scribes, have they been oppressive against you? Kiraman katibin ya'lamuna ma taf'alun. Honorable scribes, they only write that which you do. But even Ikhlas, they cannot be able to write it. Because sirrun, it's a secret between a servant and Allah. There is no way the angels can be able to record Ikhlas. They can only record the deeds you have done outwardly, but they don't know what is kept in your heart. Am I communicating? Only Allah knows whether you are sincere or not. The angels can only write that you prayed. But did you pray for the sake of Allah? No, they cannot be able to write that one. So they wrote all the evil deeds. And Allah is asking, do you think that our scribes have cheated you? Do you think that our scribes have been oppressive and wicked towards you? He will answer, فَيَقُولُ لَا يَا رَبِّي. No, wallahi. I remember vividly Saturday night clubbing. Yes, it's there. Oh, shisha. Oh, riba. Oh, this and that. I remembered vividly. I can see it. It's like a video camera that has been played. Each one of us in Surah Al-Isra, Quran chapter 17. وَكُلَّ إِنسَانٍ أَلْزَمْنَاهُ طَائِرَهُ فِي عُنَقِهِ وَنُخْرِجُ لَهُ كِتَابًا يَلْقَاهُ مَنْشُورًا اقْرَأْ كِتَابَكَ كَفَى بِنَفْسِكَ الْيَوْمَ عَلَيْكَ حَسِيبًا. Each of our deeds is wrapped on our neck. There is nothing that we do that is not there. Allah said it's like a microchip. On Yawm al-Qiyamah it will be removed from our necks, then it will be turned into what? A scroll. Wide open, and you'll be asked, اقرأ كتابك, read your book. كَفَى بِنَفْسِكَ الْيَوْمَ عَلَيْكَ حَسِيبًا. You are enough as a reckoner. Nobody is going to judge against you. Judge against yourself, and you will be just. You will see it. He will say, no. أَفَلَكَ عُذْرٌ أَوْ حَسَنَ فِيهَا. Do you have any excuse to give because of all this that you have done? Do you have any excuse to offer? Look at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala engaging. Do you have any excuse? Do you have any excuse or do you have any good deed in the scroll? فَيَقُولُ الرَّجُلُ. He will say, لَا يَا رَبْ. I don't have any excuse. I don't have any good deed. فَيُقَالُ بَلَا إِنَّ لَكَ عِنْدَنَا حَسَنًا. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said He's not going to deal unjustly with anyone. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Yusuf, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُضِيعُ أَجْرَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Again in Surah Al-Kahf, again in Surah Yusuf. Quran 18, Quran 12. Allah said He's not going to allow the deeds of a good doer to go unnoticed. However small you do it, Allah will reward you. Even a smile that you do for the sake of Allah, wallahi, you will be rewarded for it. That is ikhlas. That is doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Am I communicating? Okay, we're going to end soon. Don't worry. Or should we continue? فَيَقُولُ يَا رَبِّ أَفَلَكَ عُذْرٌ أَوْ حَسَنَ فِيهَا فَيَقُولُ الرَّجُلُ لَا يَا رَبِّ فَيُقَالْ بَلَا إِنَّ لَكَ إِنْدَنَا حَسَنًا. You will be told, no, you think you don't have any good deed? You have one good deed with us. He doesn't even know. You have one good deed with us. وَإِنَّهُ لَا ظُلْمَ عَلَيْكَ الْيَوْمِ. And wallahi, you will not be dealt with unjustly today. Allah is al-Adl. You will not be dealt with unjustly. Remember, 99 scrolls, Madd al-Basar, nothing except evil. Yet they say there is one good deed. One, just one. فَيُخْرِجْ لَهُ بِطَاقَةً فِيهَا أَشْهَدُ أَنْ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ وَأَنَّ مُحَمَّدًا عَبْدُهُ وَرَسُولُهُ. Then a piece of paper, بِطَاقَة, will be brought forth to him. And there is no good deed on that sheet of paper except I bear witness and testimony that there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah. And Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the messenger, the slave and the messenger of Allah. That is the only good deed that has been recorded against this person. Meaning he was a muwahid. He has tawheed. He never committed shirk. There is hope, but this is not a license. Then he said, Ya Rabbi ma hadhihi al-bitaqa, ma hadhihi al-bitaqa, wa ma tasda'u ma hadhihi al-sijillat min al-dhunub. How do you compare this piece of paper with 99 scrolls that I cannot even see the end of in terms of balance? How can this outweigh the other one? For yuqal, he will be assured, innaka la tudhlam yawm. Wallahi, you will not be dealt with unjustly. Just wait. فَتُوضَعُ السِّجِلَّاتِ فِي كِفَّةٍ وَالْبِطَاقَةِ فِي كِفَّةٍ. Two scales, isn't it? The scales for weighing dates. Then the piece of paper will be put on one scale and the 99 scrolls of evil deeds will be put on one scale. Then what is going to happen? فَتَتِيشُ السِّجِلَّاتِ وَتَثْقُلُ الْبِطَاقَةِ. The piece of paper will outweigh, it becomes heavy, while the 99 scrolls of evil deeds will become light. Imam al-Dhahabi has authenticated this narration. It's an authentic. What does it mean? Ikhlas. One good deed has outweighed all the evil deeds. 99 scrolls, Madd al-Basar. قال ابن القيم رحمه الله فالأعمال لا تتفاضل بصورها وعددها. The honor that deeds have is not by the nature of how the deeds are or how many. It's not about how many. It's not about the quantity or the nature of the deed. وإنما تتفاضل بتفاضلها في القلوب. The only thing that makes your work, your deed, to be worthwhile is what is in the heart. Ibn Qayyim, it's what is in the heart of Ikhlas. Are you doing it for the sake of Allah? That is what is going to give weight to your deed. فَتَكُونُ سُورَةُ الْعَمَلِيِّنَ واحدة. Two deeds, they are the same. He says Allahu Akbar, the other person says Allahu Akbar. He recited Surah Al-Fatiha, the other person recited Surah Al-Fatiha. He recited another surah, the other person recites another surah. He goes for ruku, the other person goes for ruku. Min at-takbir ila taslim. The same thing. Two people standing together. This person gave 1 million naira, the other person gave 1 million naira. This person built a masjid, the same person built a masjid. The same design, the same architectural concept. The same thing, no difference. The same amount of money spent in building this masjid was the same amount of money the other person spent. But what is the difference? What is the difference? وَبَيْنَهُمَا مِنَ التَّفَاضُلِ كَمَا بَيْنَ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ. But there is difference in terms of how honorable the deeds are, just as you have the difference between the heaven and the earth. The other one is there low. Allah is not going to even look at that masjid that you built. Allah is not going to reward you for it. While the other person has attained high status of reward. That is between Bain as-Samai wal Ard. Why? Why? Because of Ikhlas. Let me give us this hadith. You know, ikhlas is very key, isn't it? It's not something to be rushed. This hadith, but we are ending, inshallah. I know some of my students that are here, they will laugh when I say I'm ending. They know the end is not nigh. But inshallah, hadith al-rajul alladhi saqa al-kalb, a man that actually gave a dog water to drink. Wa fi riwaya baghiyun min baghaya bani Israel, a prostitute from amongst the prostitutes of Israelites. You know this hadith, isn't it? But why am I bringing this hadith? Ikhlas and Riyaa, what is in the heart? A prostitute, a dog, in one sentence with Jannah? Prostitute, dog, Jannah, all in one sentence? If not because of ikhlas, how can these three things come together in one sentence? A prostitute, a dog, paradise, in one sentence. Wallah, it's only by the power of ikhlas. Otherwise, they will never come together in one sentence. Because what befits the end of it is Jahannam. But you haven't Jannah as the final product. Why? Because of ikhlas. Because of ikhlas, doing it for the sake of Allah. Why? She saw a dog. She was thirsty, she drank, she came out. Or it was said that he saw a dog. After drinking, it said, oh, the dog was what? Extremely thirsty. And licking the mud. It said, oh, perhaps the dog is as thirsty as I was. And he removed this shoe and fetched water from the well, and gave to the dog to drink. It was said that Allah thanked him. فَشَكَرَ اللَّهُ. Allah thanked him. Look at the beauty. Ikhlas, Allah thanked him. No, he didn't only thank him, Allah admitted him to Jannah. Ibn Taymiyyah, he says, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, he said, regarding the hadith of the prostitute, he said, فَهَذِهِ, this woman that gave water to the dog, بِإِيمَانٍ خَالِصٍ, with a faith, exclusively with ikhlas for the sake of Allah, كَانَ فِي قَلْبِهَا, because of that which was in her heart of sincerity, she did it for the sake of Allah. The only reason she gave that dog water to drink was to seek for the pleasure of Allah. Ibn Taymiyyah said that was the reason why she was admitted to Jannah. وَإِلَّا فَلَيْسَ وَإِلَّا فَلَيْسَتْ كُلُّ بَغِيٍّ سَقَتْ كَلْبًا يُغْفَرْ لَهُ. Otherwise, it is not for every prostitute on the streets of Abuja that will see a dog and give dog water and she will go and sit down and say, I'm going to paradise. No. Ibn Taymiyyah said it is not for every prostitute. But what made this prostitute to attain that status was what was in her heart of what? Of ikhlas. If you have that ikhlas, inshallah you go to Jannah too. The Prophet said, Inna awwal an-nas yuqda yawm al-qiyamah alayhi rajulun ustushhid fa'utiya bihi fa'arrafahu ni'matahu fa'arifaha qala fama amilta fiha qala qataltu fika hatta ustushhid qala kadhabt walakinnaka qatalta liyuqal jari' wa laqad qil thumma umira bihi. Allah said, let me just run quickly these three. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the three sets of people that are going to be examined on Yawm al-Qiyamah is one person, a martyr that was killed on the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then it will be brought forth. Allah will judge between these people, and the first of them will be a martyr. It will be brought forth and will be asked, what will be the question? Yeah, Allah has given you the ni'mah. You were strong, isn't it? You could fight the enemies. You could kill the enemies of Allah and the enemies of the Muslims. He will identify that. And the ni'mah will be shown to him. فَعَرِفَ, and you say, yeah, I actually recognize this ni'mah that Allah has given to me. Then he will be asked, فَمَا عَمِلْتَ فِيهَا, what did you do with this ni'mah of strength that Allah has given to you? قَالَ, he will say, قَاتَلْتُ فِيكَ, I fought for the sake of you, Ya Allah. I was fighting for the sake of Islam. Hatta stushhid, until I attend martyrdom. I fought until I attend martyrdom. It will be said to him, kadhabt, wallahi kariya kake. But that was the apparent thing. He actually fought until he was killed in the battlefield. But Allah said, kadhabt, kariya kake. You are lying, it's a lie. ولكنك قاتلت ليقال جريء ولقد كيل. The only reason you fought was for people to look at you as a brave man. You wanted people to call you a brave man. And they called you a brave man. That is it. And this person will be sent to hellfire. Imagine fighting for the sake of Allah, but because there is no ikhlas. The second person that will be brought will be what? A scholar that has learned knowledge. وَقَرَأَ الْقُرْآنِ. He has recited the Quran. He knows how to recite it. فَأُوتِيَ بِهِ فَعَرَّفَهُ اللَّهُ بِنِعْمَتِهِ عَلَيْهِ فَعَرِّفَهَا. He will identify the knowledge, the ni'mah, the favor of Allah, the bounty of Allah upon him, of the knowledge that Allah has given to him. He will understand that. Then he will be questioned, what did you do with the knowledge that we bestowed upon you? And he will say, Ya Allah, I sought for knowledge. And I taught people, I taught them. I recited Quran for your sake. It will be said to him, kadhabt, you are lying. You are lying. Walakin, the only reason is that you sought for knowledge so that people will call you a scholar. So that people will say, wow, what a beautiful reciter of the Quran. وَقَدْ كِيل. And they actually celebrated it in the world. You actually got all the retweets you want. You actually got all the likes you want. Is it not because of that you recited Quran? Because of that you taught people the knowledge so that they will retweet, so that they will call you a scholar? They did that. Then this person will be sent to hellfire because there is no ikhlas. It did it because of Riyaa. Then the third person is the one that Allah has given wealth. وَأَعْطَاهُ مِنْ صُنُوفِ الْمَالِ. Allah has given him wealth, different categories. فَأُوتِيَ بِهِ. And he will be shown this favor that Allah has bestowed upon him and be asked, what did you do with the wealth that Allah has given to you? He said, ما تركت من سبيل تحب أن ينفق فيها لك إلا أنفقت فيه. I did not leave anything on which you love that people should spend on for your sake, but I spent my money on it. So when the poor people came, I gave them. When they wanted to build masjid, I gave them money. When the orphans came, I gave them money. Scholarship, I did all these things that you encourage that we should spend on. I spent. I didn't leave any stone unturned regarding spending for the sake of Allah. It will be said to him, kadhabt, you have lied. Do you know why all these answers are coming? Because there is no ikhlas, because it was riya. Kadhabt, walakinnaka fa'alta liyuqal jawadun, so that people say you are a generous person. وَقَدْ قِيلَ. And they did actually call you a generous person. They wrote it. They celebrated you on their streets. They actually spoke about you in their gatherings that so and so person is such a generous individual. وَقَدْ قِيلَ ثُمَّ أُمِرَ بِهِ. Then you will be asked to be thrown into hellfire. And this person will go to hellfire. إِنَّهُ الْإِخْلَاصِ. This is ikhlas. الَّذِي يَجْعَلْ لِلْأَعْمَالِ قِيمَةً. The only thing that gives value, weight to your acts is what? Is ikhlas. In the Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. Fala infa. It is not you feeding. Wala stashhad. It is not shahada. Wala qira'atul Quran. It is not you reciting the Quran. Illa bil ikhlas lillahi rabbil alameen. Except if it's minus factors that actually negate your ikhlas. And my ikhlas. What are these things? You have riya, shuhura, fame, wanting to be known. Wanting to be known. You know, Shaddad bin Aus, radiallahu anhu. Shaddad bin Aus, he said, Ya baqaya al-Arab, Ya baqaya al-Arab, in akhwafa ma akhafu alaykum al-riya wa shahwatu al-khafiyya. وقيل لأبي داود السجستاني وما الشهوة الخفية قال حب الرئاسة. Shaddad bin Aus said, "Oh, you the Arabs, إن أخوف ما أخاف عليكم." Verily, the most thing that I fear for you the most, what I fear for you the most, is الرياء, showing off, والشهوة الخفية, and hidden desire. وقيل لأبي داود السجستاني, it was said to Abu Dawud as-Sijistani, وَمَا الشَّهْوَةُ الْخَفِيَّةُ, what is this hidden desire that Shaddad bin Aus warned against? He said, حُبُّ الرِّئَاسَةِ, the love for leadership, wanting to be known, wanting to be famous. I'm afraid that will destroy you. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, the fear, fi ma'na al-kalam, the fear I have for you, for your religion, I fear for you that you should, fi ma'na al-kalam, a man's eagerness for fame. You are a religious man, but you are too eager to be known, to be famous, to be a celebrity. He said, I fear that for you more than I fear for a wolf to be in the midst of, a sheep. Two hungry wolves. Do you know how they're going to devour a goat or a sheep? Okay, the Prophet said the fear I have for you with regards to how seeking for fame, Riyaa, show off and seeking for fame, affects a man's religious commitment. And you see it today. You see it today. We just want people to celebrate us. Where is our ikhlas? And the most painful part of it is that when you're talking, just this afternoon, we're talking about this Mawlud. When all the scholars of Sunnah have unanimously agreed upon the fact that it is bid'ah, someone is bringing the video of one celebrity preacher that is saying, we all have our ways of celebrating the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and out trying to, because you don't want to hurt the feeling of a population of people that are bid'atic. If a person of bid'ah doesn't love you, is that not a plus factor for you? But today, that is what we are all about. We are afraid to speak the truth. So it affects our ikhlas. Why? Because we want to be celebrated. We want to be famous. Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal stood against the status quo. He stood on the side of the truth. He was beaten. Ibn Taymiyyah was imprisoned. He never came out from prison. It was his dead body that was brought out from prison. Imam al-Barbahari was excommunicated. He died hiding in the house of his sister. There was no one to perform janazah on him except the servant of the sister. He had one of the largest student gathering in Baghdad, but they were all in fear because the king of that time was arresting the students of Imam al-Barbahari. But today, everyone is quoting Imam al-Barbahari. Today, everyone is quoting Ibn Taymiyyah. He wasn't popular during his time because he stood for the truth. It wasn't after people praising him. But today, long before long that now he has gone, but today everyone is celebrating Ibn Taymiyyah. Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam was not popular amongst his people. He was alone versus every other person, all other people on the face of earth. It was the only person, the only family, him and his wife, that were worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It started with him alone. But he stood on the side of the truth. He wasn't after celebrity appeal. He wasn't after majority appeal. Al-jama'a ma wafaq al-haq wa in kunta wahdak. This was the statement of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud in Shar'u al-Usul A'tiqadi Ahli Sunnah wal Jama'ah of Imam al-Lalikai. Jama'ah community is what is consistent with the truth, even if you are alone. This was what Ibn Mas'ud said. Even if no one likes you, speak the truth. Because you are speaking the truth for the sake of Allah. Allah is the truth. Wallahu wal-haq. Isn't it in Surah Al-Ahzab? The third verse. Quran 33, verse 3 or 4. So, Riyaa will destroy a person's deed. When you do it, you want people to know what is Riyaa. Riyaa is هو إظهار العبادة لقصد الرؤية الناس. It is for you to make your deeds, your ibadah, to make it known, isn't it? So that people will see it. So you're reciting Quran beautifully so that people will hear, will see you doing it. Or you're giving sadaqah so that people will see you doing it. It is when you make your righteous deeds known for the purpose of people to see, that is Riyah. And for them to praise you for it, isn't it? What is sum'ah? When you actually do something, فَهِيَ الْعَمَلِ لِأَجَلِ إِسْمَاءِ النَّاسِ, so that people will hear about it. Someone that is living in Lagos will hear about you. That is the only reason, so that people will start talking about you. You know, some people, they will say, oh, what was the comment of people? Someone gave money, distributed money, he left the place, he was calling. How were people reacting? What did they say about me? Yes, it has happened. When people preach, they also call. What were people saying? Yeah, it can happen in two ways. Am I communicating? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from amongst the people that we worship Him alone. May Allah make our deeds exclusively for Him. If you want to avoid Riyah, then always train your soul to do things for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remind yourself that none can admit you to paradise except Allah. None can punish you in hell except Allah. That is the first thing to do. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for all of us. Maybe some of the things will be discussed when we have this, but the best thing also is to conceal your good deeds. Do not always, and keep them secret between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Avoid situations that will make you to become prominent, isn't it? Avoid situations. Some people will actually not be happy if they don't find themselves being, celebrated in a gathering or recognized in the gathering. Don't seek for recognition. The best thing, we've known people that are very, very honorable in the society. When they come to a gathering, they sit at the back. They don't even want to be noticed. But that has not affected their status in the sight of Allah. That is them running away from being noticed. Increase in your good deeds and make them look good between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Riyah is when your action in the face of people is better than when you do it between you and Allah. When you are in the room, the way you pray is different from the way you pray when you're in front of people. That is Riyah knocking at your doors, isn't it? So remind yourself and always pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and rejoice whenever Allah enables you to do any righteous deeds. Immediately you finish a righteous deed, start